Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good evening. And today my team and I are going to be discussing leadership, its importance in management, and its integration with various organizational functions. To illustrate this, our team will present two case studies highlighting key leadership challenges and lessons learned. So without further ado, let's proceed to the questions. So let's proceed to the first question. Define leader and leadership and discuss why managers should be leaders. So we should start off with a simple quote. Every single leader is a manager. However, not every single manager can be a leader. However, it can be trained. Proceed with the definition of a leader. A leader is someone who possesses the ability to influence others and exercises managerial authority. In other words, they are capable of determining the outcome and also able to lead by example. So what is leadership? Leadership is the process of leading a group and influencing its members to work collaboratively towards one main goal. So why should managers be leaders? Because it integrates well with the management functions. So regarding in the management theory, we have four main components, which is planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. The second reason is it inspires and motivates teams. So managers should train, should be able to lead, should be know how to communicate with their co-workers and subordinates, and in order to inspire and motivate them, to give them a reason to work towards a common objective. The third reason will be to enhance the individual and organizational success. The overall organizational success comes from the individual success of its employees. And if a good leader is there, the growth of the employees can be happening a lot faster compared to other companies, the other competitors. The fourth reason is it helps overcome challenges and promotes creativity. A good leader will be able to create a community where everyone can share ideas without worry, without any judgment. And because of the sharing of ideas, we can improve upon each other, and it helps promotes creativity and gives a company a cutting edge. So it integrates well with management functions. The last one is it strengthens team collaboration. A lot of teams break down because their leaders do not know where they want to take the team. However, a good manager that has learned to be a leader can manage to strengthen a team's collaboration and make the work done smoothly. So without further ado, I pass to the next speaker.
Hi, and a very good morning to the doctor. My name is Nunadira binti Baharum, and my matrix number is 24004690. Today, I'm going to discuss about based on the behavioral theory of leadership, how does the behavior of one leader differ from that one other leaders? First is dual focus of leaders. The behavioral theories identifies two primary focuses of leaders' behavior, which is first is task-oriented behavior, which is leaders prioritize initiating structure by organizing tasks. Second, people-oriented behavior. Leaders emphasize consideration by focusing on building strong relationships. Second, variation in leadership styles. Leaders differ in how they balance these two dimensions. May land heavily on task-oriented behavior to ensuring tasks are completed efficiently, promoting high satisfaction among team members, though this could affect productivity if tasks are not adequately managed. Third, influence on performance. The effectiveness of a leader's behavior depends on the context. For instance, leader with high task orientation may achieve better results in structured, high-pressure environment. And also, they may excel in fostering long-term satisfactions and team cohesion.
The short answer to the questions, are leaders born or made, seems to be both. Some people may have a natural propensity for leadership. However, even those who are born to lead can still benefit from leadership training. So before we dive deep, there are two theories that we have to understand, which are the great man theory and trait theory. So much of the work on the great man theory took place during the 19th century by Scottish historian Thomas Carlyle. He said that the history of the world is but the biography of great men. In his view, leaders are inherently inherently gifted with specific qualities that help them make an impression on the masses. So the great man theory also suggests that those who hold positions of power deserve them because they have been endowed with unique gifts and traits. While according to trait theory, leaders are born, not made. The trait theory of leadership builds upon Carlyle's early work. This theory suggests that leaders have certain inborn traits and innate characteristics that qualify them for their role. So their ability to lead comes from a combination of personality, physical, and intelligence traits. Some people argue that leaders are made rather than be born. In other words, with the proper training and amount of dedication, anyone can become a leader, regardless of their genetic background. The behavioral theory of leadership is based on the idea that leaders can develop a set of skills and practice specific behaviors that make them suited for the role, regardless of their natural traits and tendencies. So this theory also posits that outstanding leadership requires lifelong learning and commitment. The best leaders will continuously seek out development opportunities that help them grow and progress rather than relying on their natural abilities and inherited characteristics. There are several leadership styles fall under the behavioral leadership theory, which are people-focused. So people-focused leaders prioritize the needs of others like employees, clients, and supervisors. Their actions are driven by effective communication and relationship building. Next is task-focused. So task-focused leaders prioritize goal setting, achievement, and structure. They work alongside their team members to produce results. There's also participative. So participative leaders include their whole team in the decision-making process, focusing on communication and collaboration. They do a great job of identifying people's strengths and weaknesses and then assigning tasks based on those attributes. Last but not least is status quo. So status quo leaders strive to balance productivity with employee satisfaction, meeting needs without exceeding reasonable expectations. Those who believe in the behavioral leadership theory typically argue that leaders can develop the traits associated with these and other effective leadership styles. So one can learn to be an effective communicator or to build strong relationship with their colleagues. So the assumption behind trait theory is that if one can find people who possess the right traits, then that person can improve an organization performance and bring it closer to achieving specific objectives. Those who believe in the idea that leaders are made rather than be born, it makes sense that every great leader would have to start as a follower. Suppose someone starts in the follower or subordinate role. In that case, they will likely have more empathy and genuine concern for their team members. So at one point, they were in the same place as their current subordinates. Because of their history, they understand the challenges of the job and know what kind of leadership they would have liked to have when they were a follower. So starting as a follower rather than immediately being thrust into a leadership position also creates more opportunities for learning and growth.
Hi, I am Sharifah Khadija Asila binti Hamza and my metric number is 2308-4939. And I'm answering the question, a leader's effectiveness depends on their followers' ability. Which theories claim this and why? So the statement, a leader's effectiveness depends on their followers' ability, aligns with Hersey and Blanchard situational leadership theory. Why, we ask? Hersey and Blanchard theory emphasizes specifically that the leader's behavior and effectiveness depend on the readiness level of their followers. So what is readiness? So readiness refers to the follower's ability when it comes to skills and competence, and willingness, which is confidence and commitment to accomplish tasks. So the theory usually identify 4 leadership styles, which is telling, selling, participating, and delegating. And it matches them to different stages of followers' readiness. For instance, if followers are unable and unwilling, the leader adopts a telling style, which is highly directive and low on supportive. And if followers are able and willing, the leader uses a delegating style, which is low directive and low supportive. Thus, the theory asserts the leader's approach must adapt based on the abilities and readiness of their followers, directly affecting leadership effectiveness.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Irdina Batrisha binti Muhammad Shukri and my matrix number is 24004818. So for question 12.5, do you think that most managers in real life use a contingency approach to increase their leadership effectiveness? But firstly, what is a contingency approach? Finlay developed the contingency theory of leadership, which suggested that a leader's effectiveness depends on the interaction between the leadership style and the situation. Basically, contingency approach is a situational approach, unlike the traditional one, who prescribe that one-size-fits-all approach suitable for every situation. As the saying goes, the best way to organize depends on the nature of the environment to which the environment must relate, says Richard Scott. So, the answer is yes, many managers use contingency approach in real life. Why? It is because to help leaders adapt their leadership style to the needs of their team in any given situation. So, this flexibility can help leaders become more effective and guide their teams to achieve organization goals. One of the advantage and benefit of the managers that using a contingency approach is they could enhance decision making by responding to changing circumstances. For example, is during 2008 financial crisis, Howard Schultz, CEO of Starbucks, used a contingency approach. As he faced with declining sales, he quickly shifted to leadership styles that making tough decisions such as store closures and restructuring the organization. Once the immediate crisis was addressed, then he transitioned to a more supportive approach that focused on rebuilding employee morale and customer trust that could overcome the financial crisis during the time.
Thank you, previous speaker. Now we go to our next point, which is the case study. The first case study will discuss about the success and failures of FIFA organization and how its scandals destroyed the people's trust towards the organization. So we have 10 bullet points here about the case study. I'm going to go through one by one. Trust, a fundamental leadership element, was severely undermined within FIFA after corruption scandals emerged. Football's global economic significance at that point of time was immense and was projected to grow up until $5 billion by 2018 and 2019 just from the UK's Football League alone. Founded in 1904, FIFA oversees global football, including the high-stakes bidding process for hosting the World Cup, where it is the most big competition regarding football and it is held every 4 years. Allegations of vote trading surrounded the 2018 and 2022 World Cups awarded to Russia and Qatar, raising questions about transparency. Is it conducted through fairly, or is there something shady behind the scenes? In 2012, attorney Michael J. Garcia investigated corruption at FIFA, producing a 350-page report, but FIFA only released a brief summary, further eroding trust. Upon that, US federal authorities arrested 7 FIFA officials in Zurich as part of a larger investigation implicating 14 individuals in 150 million worth of bribes over 24 years. Re-elected in 2015, the president, Sepp Blatter, announced his resignation 4 days later because of the scandal and because people do not trust his authority anymore. In December 2015, FIFA's Ethics Committee banned both Blatter and his potential successor, Michael Platini, from football activities for 8 years. Under new president Gianni Infantino, FIFA implemented reforms to improve accountability and transparency. Infantino now leads efforts to restore FIFA reputation, which is very damaged, and regain trust from clubs, countries, players, and fans worldwide, especially for the upcoming FIFA World Cup. Following that case study, let's go to the first question. What does the number of senior FIFA executives being investigated say about the culture at FIFA? 5 main points about this systemic problem. First of all, it implies that there is widespread corruption in the organization. 14 senior executives was implicated in 150 million bribery over 24 years, which is basically 2.5 decades. Basically, it has been happening for a long time, and a lot of people have been involved, and there has been nothing to be stopping this. The second implication is it has weak governance, lack effective checks and balances. That means the governance, especially the finance department, did not do the accounting fairly and justably, because if so, there should be no bribery and there should have been some whistleblowing. Opacity in decision making, limited transparency fostered manipulation and abuse. Limited transparency basically allow the higher ups to receive bribery because they are not scared. Because they are not scared of the action simply because other people don't know, because it is basically privatized at that point of time. So unless they are caught, they will keep doing it. Complicity at the top, like I said earlier, a lot of the bribery happens for the upper management. And because no one has been doing anything to stop this, it is implied that everyone on top has received bribery at some point of time. Finally, it is implied that it has been an erosion of integrity. Personal gain obviously has been prioritized over accountability and fairness. Receiving bribery is obviously for personal gain, and because of that, a lot of countries that should have been hosting the World Cups actually was undeniably treated unfairly. As such, the ones who won was Qatar and Russia, simply because they were bribing a lot more to the higher ups. And because of that, these are the 5 main implications of the whole case study.
Thank you, Shabu. Hello everyone, my name is Ong Ziqi, and my merchant number is 2300465. Based on the question 12.12 given, of the 8 suggestions for building trust, which do you think should have been the focus for FIFA? And think about Michael J. Garcia's report. Before we dive into the question, let me clarify a few points. So, firstly, let me explain the 8 suggestions for building trust. So, the first one is practice openness. The second one is be fair. The third one is speak your feelings. The fourth is tell the truth. 5. Be consistent. 6. Fulfill your promises. 7. Maintain confidences. 8. Demonstrate confidence. Secondly, let me clarify the Michael J. Scasser report. So the Michael J. Scasser report critically examined FIFA's management of the bidding process for the 2018 and 2022 World Cups, so uncovering numerous ethical violations, conflicts of interest, and corruption allegations. So the report ultimately determined that although there were several violations of FIFA's regulations, there was inadequate evidence to justify the rebidding of the tournaments. So FIFA chose to withhold the complete details of the investigation, providing only a summary, coupled with their inadequate response to Garcia's findings, has incited considerable criticism concerning FIFA's dedication to transparency and ethical governance. So below is a link for Michael J. Garcia report. So after the presentation ends, I will also put inside the YouTube description. So now let's dive into the question. Of the 8 suggestions for building trust, which do you think should have been the focus for FIFA, and think about Michael J. Garcia report? So the first one is tell the truth. FIFA ought to have completely reviewed the findings of the Garcia report rather than issuing merely a partial summary. So transparency of the investigation's findings and the bidding process will have exhibited integrity and a dedication to rectifying any misconduct. And secondly, is to be fair. FIFA was required to operate impartially, guaranteeing that all ethical violations or misconduct were addressed equitably and without prejudice. So FIFA should have addressed corruption allegations with appropriate and equitable measure against any offenders rather than minimizing them. And last but not least is practice openness. So the complete publication of Garcia report will have significantly contributed to restoring FIFA's credibility. So by transparency addressing the issues identified during the bidding process and articulating the organization's strategy for resolution, FIFA could have begun to rebuild trust with stakeholders. So in a nutshell, FIFA's failure to fully address ethical concerns damaged its reputation. So FIFA can implementing this suggestion could help to rebuild the trust. So that's all from me. I pass to Nazhira to continue the question. Thank you.
Okay, now I'm going to answer the question of 1213, which is what does the case says about Leicester's styles of leadership? First is lack of transparency. Blatter demonstrated a reluctance to fully disclose critical findings such as withholding Michael J. Garcia's comprehensive investigation report. Second, downplaying issues. During the 2011 crisis involving allegations of financial irregularities, Leicester minimized the seriousness of the situation, showing a potential failure to address significant problem heads on. That transactional or transactional and bureaucratic approach. Players only focus on maintaining his positions and handling crisis professionals rather than enacting meaningful reforms such as a style that prioritizes short-term stability over long-term integrity. The last one is failure to build trust. His inability to demonstrate accountability and transparency, core aspect of effective leaderships, ultimately contribute to FIFA's loss of trust and credibility during his tenure.
Today, we will analyze Sepp Blatter's leadership response to the 2011 financial irregularity allegations at FIFA, focusing on how his actions aligned or failed to align with the five key dimensions of trust. These dimensions, integrity, competence, consistency, loyalty, and openness, are crucial in evaluating leadership effectiveness, and Blatter's response provides an insightful case study on the importance of trust in leadership. In 2011, Sepp Blatter was faced with serious rumors of financial mismanagement within FIFA. So his response to these allegations was dismissive. He downplayed the severity of the accusation and failed to address the concern thoroughly. This approach minimized the issue instead of confronting it transparently. By not engaging with the allegations properly, Blatter demonstrated a significant failure in leadership, particularly in how trust was built or destroyed. The allegations centered around the misuse of funds and potential financial irregularities within FIFA. So these rumors posed a serious risk to FIFA's reputation and financial stability. Given FIFA's significant global influence, this was not just an internal matter, it impacted sponsors, partners, members, and the global public. So historically, Blatter had made numerous public commitments to transparency and accountability within FIFA. However, his dismissive response to the 2011 crisis directly contradicted these promises by failing to address the allegations seriously and transparently. Blatter's actions called into question his willingness to engage with important issues and his commitment to upholding the values. So these contradictions severely impacted the trust placed in him by FIFA members and other stakeholders. So Blatter's dismissive approach likely led to a loss of trust from both the public and FIFA members. So before we dive deeper, let's quickly define trust. So trust is a positive expectation that an individual will not act opportunistically at another's expense. It is built on history and past experiences, and it involves five key dimensions that we will explore in relation to Blatter's response. First, let's talk about integrity. This dimension revolves around honesty and strong moral principles. So when Blatter dismissed the allegations, it sent a message that he might not fully value transparency or ethical accountability. Downplaying such serious accusations creates the perceptions that he was avoiding responsibility, which ultimately undermines trust in his integrity. So next is competence. Trust in a leader also depends on the ability to effectively manage crises. Blatter's dismissive tone likely made stakeholders question whether he had the skills or the willingness to address the situation responsibly. In moments of crisis, people look for decisive and competent leadership. His response failed to inspire confidence in this regard. Let's move on to openness. This dimension is about transparency and a willingness to share information. So by avoiding meaningful engagement with the allegations, Blatter appeared to lack openness instead of addressing concerns, hate, or providing explanations. So he downplayed the issue. This approach can breed suspicion and further erode trust. Now consider consistency. Trust is strengthened when leaders act predictably and honor their commitments. If Blatter had previously promised accountability or transparency, but then dismissed these allegations, it would reflect inconsistency. Such behavior creates a gap between what is said and what is done, which damaged credibility. So finally, let's discuss loyalty. This dimension is about safeguarding the interests of others. So Blatter's response may have given the impression that he prioritized his image over FIFA, over the concerns of stakeholders like fans, players, and sponsors. Ignoring this group need for accountability does not align with principles of loyalty.
For question 12.15, for Infantino to succeed, what style of leadership do you think would be more effective? These are type of leadership style. The first one is transformational leadership, which focus on inspiring and motivating followers to achieve certain goals. And then delegative leadership, which the leader need to delegate some tasks to a specific person. Next, authoritative leadership, also known as authoritarian, that require quick for decision making and clear objectives. The fourth one is transactional leadership, which style more direct and the leader need to spell out the task to exclude any confusion. And then participative leadership and servant leadership. There are prioritize people first and believe that fulfilled employees are more important. So back to the question, for Infantino to succeed as the new president of FIFA and need to reforming the governance structure, I think the transformational leadership would be the most effective style, as it includes a change of future that needed leader to be comfortable with the change and understand that it is necessary for the organization's success. For example, Infantino can publicly release Garcia's report and findings from investigation to establish transparency, as this would make financial operation, bidding processes, and sponsorship deals accessible to public scrutiny.
Thank you. And now we proceed to the second case study, developing Gen Y leaders, and we're going to see the legacy of Manchester United and how it has been improving under good management and leadership. So we have a case study here. We have 10 main points. The first point is Sir Alex Ferguson managed Manchester United from 1986 to 2013, winning 38 domestic and international trophies. Known for the hair dryer treatment, an intense and direct method of addressing players and staff to maintain high standards, Sir Alex Ferguson is known to be very blunt about his opinions regarding the behavior and the attitude of the players. If he does not like anything, he will directly tell to them and ask them to immediately change. He does not allow it to sit place at his management. So he tackled a harmful drinking culture within the club and promoted a strong work ethic. Before this, a lot of players in the club were drinking regularly and most of the time every day. And because of Sir Alex Ferguson, most of them stopped and focused on having a healthy lifestyle. The fourth point is foster a sense of pride by having players represent the club formally, wearing blazers with the Manchester United badge wherever they go, whether it was to go for a ride or an airplane or to the opponent's stadium. They wore themselves with dignity. They wore blazers to show their professionalism. The fifth point is he tailored his approach to individual players, alternating between tough discipline and a more supportive style. He was not a one-size-fits-all kind of manager. He saw the differences in his players and he did his actions accordingly. He approached them individually and taught to them and led them for he believed that every person was different. So the next sixth point is he addressed issues immediately and resolved them to ensure smooth relationships and team cohesion, as I said earlier. And he knew the names of not only players but also support staff, building strong connections across the organization. In a way, this shows that he was not a self-centered person because he cared about every single person that was cooperating with him, that is working together with him in order to achieve the success of the club. Because at the end of the day, he knows that it's a team effort, not his effort alone. He created personal connections such as engaging with film crews and sharing moments of camaraderie. Similar in drive and competitiveness, but differentiated by his ability to adapt leadership styles to suit individuals. And finally, after he finished becoming the manager for Manchester United, he joined Harvard Business School in 2014 as a lecturer on leadership and published Leading in 2015, cementing his influence in management studies. Now let's proceed to the questions following this case study.
Okay, now I'm going to explain the question of 12.16, which is what leadership theory do you feel Ferguson's action support? There's a four leadership theories that Ferguson support, which is the first one is transformational leadership. Ferguson worked to change the culture of Manchester United by tackling issues like drinking culture and instilling a sense of pride and commitment among players. Second, situational leadership. Ferguson adapted his leadership styles depending on the context and the individuals. For instance, he used header treatment when necessary, but took a different approach for other situations. Third, emotional intelligence, which is EI. While not a traditional theory, Ferguson demonstrated high emotional intelligence by understanding and addressing the unique needs of his players and staff. The last one is path goal theory. Ferguson clarified expectations for his team, such as emphasizing the importance of wearing blazers with a club uh, badge, and by providing directions and support, he helped his player align their effort with the team's goals.
Thank you, Nahira. My name is OnCC. So now let's dive into the question 12.17. So what leadership traits do you see being demonstrated in the case? The first leadership trait that we can see in the case is visionary thinking. So the example from the case, when Ferguson joined Manchester United in 1986, he had very different ideas about how he was going to build his club. Planning for long-term success, he set about changing the very culture of the club, which was no small task. So this illustrates his capacity to transcend immediate obstacle and strategize for enduring success, a crucial attribute of a visionary leader. So Ferguson efforts to foster a sense of belonging through initiatives like emphasizing the Manchester United badge illustrate his forward-thinking approach. So secondly, the adaptability. So example from the case, Ferguson will vary his managing style, shouting at some players and taking a different approach with others. So this approach could seem arbitrary and inconsistent, but was actually a conscious choice made by a manager who really knew his players. So this adaptability underscores his comprehension that leadership is not universally applicable. His capacity to accommodate individual requirements guarantee optimum performance from his team members. And the third one is attention to detail. So the example from the case, he learned the names of all the support staff and took time to talk to them. By the end of filming session, Ferguson had learned the name of the film crew and was happy to converse with them while sharing a bottle of champagne. So attention to detail is a hallmark of effective leadership. So Ferguson recognized that minor gestures, such as remembering names and demonstrating personal attention, can foster a unified atmosphere. Next, discipline. The example from the case, when the captain openly criticized his teammates in an interview, his contract was terminated. While this made for good headlines, they did not reveal the whole story. So this characteristic underscore Ferguson's resilient position on fostering a constructive working relationship and his dedication to the team's integrity. Moreover, emotional intelligence. The example from the case, Ferguson knew his players and understood how to get the best out of each one. So when it was necessary to instill discipline in players to ensure a positive working relationship, Ferguson would deal with the issue immediately and move on. So emotional intelligence enable Ferguson to answer build trust, cultivate commitment, and elicit optimal performance from his team, thereby creating a successful environment. Last but not least, inspiring confidence. The example from the case to increase the player's feeling of commitment and belonging, he insisted that they should dress as Manchester United. This all contributed to his vision. So leaders who inspire confidence enable their teams to embrace a greater purpose. So Ferguson instilled in his team a sense of belonging to a greater cause, fostering unity and motivation. So that's all from me. I pass to Sarifa to continue the question. Thank you.
We are going to discuss to what degree has emotional intelligence played a part in Alex Ferguson's success. Emotional intelligence played a significant role in Alex Ferguson's success as a leader because his ability to understand and manage emotions, both his own and those of others, was evident in several aspects of his management style. These are the 5 aspects of his management style that we can find in Alex Ferguson, which is self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, motivation, and social skills. One of Ferguson's standout qualities was his empathy. He took time to learn about his players as individuals and understand their personal motivations. By tailoring his approach to each player, he maximized their performance and output on the field. An example to this is his willingness to engage in conversations, not just with the players, but also support the staff, ensuring that they do feel appreciated and valued. Ferguson also demonstrated a strong sense of self-awareness, like adapting his leadership approach to suit different situations and individuals. While he was known for his hairdryer treatment, intense discipline and directness of his, he also knew when to be more supportive and collaborative. This balance between his two sides highlights his ability to recognize his own emotional state and its impact on others. Besides self-awareness, he also obtains self-regulation. Ferguson was really disciplined in addressing issues immediately, but ensure that they did not linger. For instance, I would give when players misbehaved or undermined the team's ethos, he dealt with it firmly but moved on quickly to maintain team harmony, so that it won't prolong the dispute between them. This shows his ability to manage his impulses and emotions effectively. When it comes to motivation, specifically, Ferguson's emotional intelligence also played a role in inspiring his players because he set a high standard and created a culture of long-term commitment and discipline. His motivational skills helped them instill a winning mindset in his team. When we go on to his social skills, Ferguson's emphasis on teamwork and fostering a strong sense of belonging within the club indicates his exceptional social skills. He encouraged a culture where players wore blazers, with the club badge reinforcing a collective identity, and his ability to inspire commitment and loyalty highlights his knack for building strong relationships between the football club. Conclusion to this discussion is that Alex Ferguson's success was deeply influenced by his emotional intelligence, his ability to adapt his leadership style, connect with individuals on a personal level, and create a cohesive team culture exemplifies his mastery of emotional intelligence. It was this blend of empathy, self-regulation, and relationship management that allowed him to lead Manchester United to sustain success over decades.
For the last question, question 12.19, what do you see as the possible problems of varying the leadership approach with different players? For leaders who want to make change in leadership approach could cause perception of favoritism, which some players may feel that others are receiving preferential treatment and leading to jealousy and resentment within the team. Which leads to the next point, inconsistency in leadership. Constantly shifting leadership styles might confuse players or create uncertainty towards the leader itself. And lastly, this could reduce team cohesion. If individual players are treated too differently, it may harm the sense of unity and teamwork, as some may feel disconnected and undervalued.